Did you know there are cars that could literally last a lifetime without breaking down? And we're not just talking about rare or exclusive models, but about vehicles that have truly earned their place as legends of reliability. Today, we're bringing you the 15 toughest and most indestructible cars. The ones still on the road even after surpassing 500,000 kilometers without needing expensive or complicated repairs. These models have pushed the limits of durability, and their performance remains nothing short of impressive. If you're looking for a car that will last you a lifetime, stick around until the end, because one of these might just be the perfect companion that never lets you down. 15. Ford F-150, 1965-1999. The classic F-150 is more than a pickup. It's a practical lesson in how to build a vehicle that survives daily use for decades. These generations were conceived when engineers prioritized mechanical strength over electronics. That shows in the simple V8s and inline sixes, robust gearboxes and differentials, and a frame built to take loads and knocks without drama. You see the result in real life. Ranches, construction sites, and dirt roads where F-150s still run past the 500,000 kilometer mark, and owners keep preferring them because they're reliable and easy to fix with basic tools. Buying one of these requires common sense. Inspect the frame and underbody thoroughly, because rust is the quiet erosion that turns a cheap repair into an expensive rebuild. Ask about towing history and heavy use. Hauling beyond capability without proper maintenance accelerates wear in the gearbox and axles. If the truck comes with clear records of oil changes, transmission services, and documented repairs, you're probably looking at a workhorse whose long-term cost to benefit beats many modern pickups overloaded with electronics. In short, the classic F-150 makes a simple promise: take care of it and it will last. And because of its design, many issues don't need costly diagnostics, just skilled hands and affordable parts. Before we continue, let me tell you this. This is the channel car dealerships don't want you to watch, because here we show things exactly as they are. No filters, no sugarcoating. Subscribe and leave a like if you don't want to be sold smoke and mirrors. And make sure your next car isn't a cleverly disguised disappointment. 14. Acura RSX Type S, 2002-2006. The RSX Type S is one of those cars you enjoy both for the drive and the peace of mind of knowing it's well-engineered. Heir to Honda's tradition, its K20 engine balances sharp response with a build that tolerates high mileage if you maintain it properly. There are RSXs with hundreds of thousands of kilometers and no major failures. Behind that fact are sensible tolerances, correct lubrication, and, crucially, an owner community that shares solutions and accessible parts. That doesn't mean every RSX is indestructible. Many fail because of poorly executed modifications. Aggressive tuning, remaps without upgraded lubrication, or power increases beyond what the drivetrain can handle end up punishing the transmission, clutch, and engine seals. When evaluating a used RSX, pay less attention to how much was spent on power and more to how those upgrades were done. An RSX with documented maintenance, regular oil changes, and a check timing system will give you both fun and long life. If you want a compact sports car that blends character and longevity, a well-kept RSX is an emotionally satisfying and rational choice. It lets you enjoy driving without gambling on reliability. Before we keep going, this isn't polished dealer PR. Here we tell you which cars can leave you stranded and which ones will stick with you to the end. Stay tuned until the end, subscribe, and find out which ones really deserve your money. 13. Toyota Land Cruiser 80 Series, 1990-1997. Mentioning the Land Cruiser 80 evokes expeditions across deserts. NGOs operating in remote places and communities that trust a vehicle to reach where others can't. The 80 was deliberately designed to be serviceable outside a workshop. Inline six engines, ladder frames, and mechanical solutions that don't need electronic diagnostics to get back on the road. That philosophy produces examples that, with a little preventive care, survive extreme miles and conditions that would defeat many modern cars. Of course, age takes its toll. The 80's electrical components are its weakest point after decades of exposure to heat, humidity, and vibration. Differentials and transfer cases that have worked in mud or been submerged require seal replacement and more frequent service. If you're buying at 80, prioritize ones with service history in harsh environments where seals and gaskets have been changed, and consider a preventive inspection of the transmission and transfer case if the vehicle comes from heavy off-road use. In short, the Land Cruiser 80 mixes relative comfort with a mechanical survival philosophy. It's not perfect, but its strength is that when something fails, it's usually a replaceable part that lets you get back on the road simply and safely. 12. Nissan Skyline R34, 2002. The R34 sits in an interesting place between legend and practicality. For many, it's a cult performance icon, but under that fame, there's an engine and drivetrain architecture that, if cared for, ages remarkably well. Its inline engines were built to rev and respond immediately, which implies manufacturing tolerances and components designed to withstand continuous stress. Practically speaking, that means blocks don't crumble over time so long as you respect basic maintenance. Quality oil, fresh filters, and extra care when the car has been pushed hard on roads or track. One longevity factor for the R34 is the global network of owners and specialists around it. Technical communities document procedures, best practices, and reliable parts, making it easier to source correct components and proven fixes when issues appear. Furthermore, parts availability, both OEM and quality aftermarket, makes keeping a Skyline for decades realistic without relying solely on Japan-based dealers. In short, you won't be alone with an R34. There's a community and resources to help it live long. That said, technical reality has limits. Forced induction on many models demands a non-negotiable preventive approach. The turbo, its lubrication and thermal management are critical. Neglect here leads to fast, expensive failures. So if you find an R34 with a history of frequent oil changes, more often than you do for a naturally aspirated engine, turbo checks and documented thermal management work, you're looking at a unit with strong longevity prospects. If the history is thin or the car shows signs of heavy use without records, insist on a thorough inspection before buying. The Skyline R34 can give you performance and high mileage at once, but it requires technical respect and attention to detail. 11. BMW 335d E90, 2009-2011. The 335d proves that a well-built diesel can marry long life with genuine driving pleasure, but only if you treat it like the engineered machine it is. BMW's M57 family diesels were designed to handle sustained loads, strong blocks, robust bearings, and components with conservative tolerances give these engines a real chance to rack up serious miles when cared for properly. Paired with a ZF 6-speed, the package delivers refined torque, comfortable highway cruising, and crucially, durability when routine service isn't neglected. Where owners get into trouble is the modern emissions and after-treatment systems. The DPF, EGR, and their sensors are not inherently fatal, but they demand correct use and upkeep. Short urban trips that never allow DPF regeneration, delayed injector servicing, or skimping on the correct oil spec will turn those systems into recurring headaches and expensive repairs. For a long-lived 335d, prioritize cars with documented service at diesel-savvy shops, recent injector servicing, and proof that DPF regenerations, or forced regenerations, were performed properly. Use OEM spec oil and stick to recommended intervals. That prevents soot buildup and extends turbo and injector life. Accept, too, the economic reality. Upkeep will cost more than a mainstream gasoline sedan, but it's not prohibitive if you budget for it. A disciplined maintenance routine keeps the 335 smooth, efficient, and surprisingly long-lived. It rewards owners with relaxed long-distance performance and a diesel's typical longevity, so long as you respect its maintenance needs. 10. Nissan 240SX, S13, S14, 1990-1994. The 240SX is a textbook example of how thoughtful simplicity extends a car's usable life. Its platform is straightforward, components are plentiful and familiar, and the huge enthusiast community means parts. Guides and know-how are rarely far away. Those qualities make everyday problems easy to fix. An oil leak, a suspension bushing, a worn alternator. All are direct, affordable jobs for most independent shops. That accessibility is also why the 240 SX became a darling of modifiers, which introduces two purchase caveats. First, corrosion. Many S13 and S14 bodies suffer rust in the usual trouble spots: rocker panels, trunk seams, floor pans, and suspension mounts. And rust can turn a cheap restoration into a major project. Second, structural fatigue from poorly executed modifications or aggressive drifting is real. Hacked reinforcements, sloppy welds, and altered mounting points can compromise chassis integrity. When inspecting one, don't skip a thorough structural check. Look for factory clean welds, consistent panel gaps, and no signs of seam grinding or patchwork under paint. If you find a clean, lightly used 240 SX, you're looking at a car that's cheap to maintain, easy to understand, and ideal for hands-on owners. It's a platform that rewards sensible maintenance and careful upgrades. With correct care, a 240 SX can be both fun and surprisingly durable. 9. Porsche 911 Turbo 996 2001-2005. Putting a 996 Turbo on a durability list sounds bold, but the engineering backs it up when the car is cared for to Porsche standards. The 996 Turbo's flat six architecture, strengthened components for the forced induction model, and factory attention to cooling and drivetrain robustness allow properly serviced examples to log very high mileages. The difference between a Porsche that lasts and one that becomes a money pit is almost always maintenance quality. Key areas to scrutinize are the turbos and their oil supply, engine gaskets, and the cooling system components that age with time. Small issues left unchecked, a leaking turbo oil feed, a deteriorating head gasket seal, or a cooling hose near collapse, will escalate quickly into major repairs. That's why OEM parts and expert labor are non-negotiable for potential buyers. Check for a consistent shop history, look for receipts for turbo and timing-related work, and confirm that valve guides, seals, and cooling components have been inspected or replaced as recommended. If you can accept the higher cost of proper servicing, a 996 Turbo repays with brutal performance and genuine longevity. It's not the budget option, but for enthusiasts who want both speed and the chance of a long life from a performance car, a well-documented 996 Turbo is a compelling choice. 8. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 2003-2006. The Evo 8 and 9 were built from the start to thrive under punishment. Small displacement, high-stress 2.0-liter turbo engines, aggressive thermal loads, and drivetrains engineered for maximum traction and torque transfer. Their DNA is rally-bred durability, but that durability comes with an explicit service contract. In other words, the cars are strong, but only if you honor the maintenance they demand. Routine care that matters most includes frequent oil and filter changes with high-quality synthetic oil, scheduled clutch and differential inspections, and close attention to charge air cooling and turbo health. The turbocharger, intercooler piping, and associated hoses are failure points when left unattended. Heat cycles and boost spikes shorten component life if lubrication and cooling are neglected. Owners who routinely run track days will need to refresh items like the clutch, turbo bearings, and cooling system more often than the street-only user. The Evo's aftermarket ecosystem is a major advantage. Robust intercoolers, stronger clutch kits, uprated bearings, and transmission reinforcements are widely available and can be fitted to extend service intervals and durability. When buying, prioritize examples with documented, sensible upgrades, not hacked bolt-ons, and a history that shows consistent preventative attention rather than reactive repairs. A civilly used, well-maintained Evo 8P will reward you with thrilling performance and genuine longevity. A neglected, beaten example will simply be expensive to fix. In short, the Evolution is inherently durable, but it asks for respect. Meet it with proper service, quality parts, and realistic expectations, and it will keep delivering both excitement and miles. 7. Jeep Cherokee XJ 1987-2001. The Cherokee XJ is one of those vehicles that immediately inspires confidence simply by looking at it. straightforward, muscular, and honest. Its 4.0-liter inline-six has almost mythical status among owners because of its ability to rack up mile after mile with very few dramatic failures. That engine was built with a focus on durability, a robust block, conservative tolerances, and a simple mechanical layout. And the overall vehicle follows the same philosophy. Minimal electronics, easy to trace wiring, and systems you can diagnose with a wrench and common sense. In real-world terms, that means a Cherokee cared for with basic services, regular oil and filter changes, timely coolant maintenance, and attention to simple wear items, will often reach mileages that many modern, sensor-laden SUVs only attain after expensive repairs. Another major strength of the XJ is reparability. Parts are cheap, plentiful, and often interchangeable across model years. Independent shops and backyard mechanics know these trucks inside out, and an active owner community shares practical fixes and upgrades. Problems that might be catastrophic on a high-tech car, a leaking seal, a worn head gasket, a rotted exhaust hanger, typically become manageable, budget-friendly jobs on an XJ. That resilience is why you still see Cherokees working on farms, heading into the backcountry, and getting patched up on the spot. They are designed to be fixed where they break and return to service quickly. That said, the XJ isn't invincible. Rust is the single most dangerous issue for these trucks, especially in coastal regions or areas where roads are salted. Corrosion in structural points, suspension mounts, and frame rails can turn an otherwise cheap buy into a costly restoration project. When shopping, inspect frame rails, spring hangers, lower control arm mounts, and the floor pans with extra care. Any sign of advanced corrosion in those areas should be a hard pass unless you're specifically buying a restoration project. Likewise, keeping seals, gaskets, and the cooling system in good shape is essential. Neglected seals and an overheated engine can escalate into major repairs. If you want a 4x4 with character that you can understand and repair yourself or through a local shop, the Cherokee XJ is hard to beat. Its philosophy is simple: less electronics, more iron. In the right hands, an owner willing to do routine maintenance and address corrosion early, an XJ will return decades of practical, usable service and a lot of satisfaction from being a vehicle you can actually work on. 6. Mercedes-Benz 300D W123, 1977-1985. Talking about the W123 family is like stepping into a different era of automobile design, one where durability and longevity were explicit design goals. The 300D epitomizes that mindset. It's not flashy or fast, but it's engineered to last. The diesel engines in these cars were built with heavy-duty components and conservative tolerances, and the overall construction uses high-quality materials that, when maintained, age far better than many modern alternatives. The result, countless W123s still on the road today, logging miles with a kind of mechanical stoicism that's rare in contemporary cars. The W123's diesel mechanics have their own demands and pleasures. Classic diesel injection systems, pumps, injector nozzles, and mechanical controls require knowledgeable hands for proper maintenance. Routine work like injector cleaning, pump timing checks, and fuel line inspections are not glamorous, but they are predictable and doable by a competent diesel mechanic. Outside Europe, sourcing some parts may be pricier or slower, and that can raise operating costs. Yet the repairs themselves are generally straightforward and long-lasting when done correctly. Owning a 300D is often as much about community and culture as it is about transport. Many W123s are preserved by enthusiasts who appreciate the car's honest engineering. That network of specialists and restorers means knowledge and parts are available for those committed to keeping them running. When you factor in this ecosystem, maintaining a 300D becomes less of an exotic hobby and more of a viable long-term plan. Treat the diesel injection system properly, service the cooling and fuel systems regularly, and the car will reward you with reliable, predictable operation. In everyday terms, a well-cared-for 300D rarely surprises you with sudden failures. It tends to warn you: a change in sound, a loss of power, rough idling, and if you act then, simple, scheduled interventions will keep it moving. For drivers who value mechanical clarity and long-term reliability over modern gadgetry, the W123-300D is an outstanding example. It asks for steady, informed care and gives back years of dependable service in return. Before revealing the top 5, here's a quick reminder. To stay informed about what dealerships might be hiding and to truly understand what you're buying, subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. We're dedicated to uncovering the secrets they'd rather you never discover. 5. Honda Accord V6, 2008-2012. The late 2000s Honda Accord V6 is one of those cars that feels dependable from day one. A well-engineered V6 block, transmissions built for everyday use, and an interior designed to wear gracefully. Its greatest virtue is practical reliability. It doesn't ask for exotic care. With timely oil changes, routine inspections, and sensible upkeep, it simply keeps doing its job. For families or drivers who want a car that just works rather than an experiment in the driveway, the Accord V6 delivers a comfortable, quiet ride and predictable ownership costs. When evaluating an Accord V6, focus on a few concrete items. Check service records for regular oil changes and scheduled maintenance. Inspect for oil leaks or signs of consumption between services, and assess wear items such as belts, tensioners, and the cooling system. These are the areas that, if neglected, trigger the most common failures. If they're in order, the chances of finding an Accord that will run happily for many years are high. The automatic transmissions in these models are generally durable, provided they receive fluid changes and aren't abused. Ignoring transmission service, by contrast, is the fast track to expensive repairs. Another advantage of the Accord is cost of ownership. Parts are common and affordable. Independent shops know the platform well, and the car's overall reliability reduces surprise visits to the mechanic. In short, the Accord V6 is a set-it-and-forget-it kind of car in the best possible sense. It quietly does its job and rarely produces dramatic breakdowns. For someone seeking a balanced sedan with comfort, space, and long life, a well-maintained Accord V6 is a practical, sensible choice that rewards consistency. 4. Chevrolet Camaro Z28, 1998-2002. The late 90s, early 2000s Camaro Z28 is pure American muscle, a characterful V8, a chassis built to take brute force, and a mechanical simplicity that ages well when respected. Its durability isn't mystical. It's a design philosophy. Robust bearings, over-engineered rotating assemblies, simple valve trains, and a focus on mechanical resilience rather than electronic crutches. With regular oil and coolant maintenance and attention to the drivetrain, a Z28 can log very high mileage without catastrophic failures. That said, many Z28s have been used hard by enthusiasts chasing the V8 thrill. Drag launches, track days, aggressive mods, and that use leaves tangible traces. The components that suffer first under abuse are those under high loads. Main and rod bearings, crank journals, connecting rods showing fatigue, and clutches or torque converters that have been overheated. When buying a Z28, prioritize units with a moderate driving history and documented service. Compression tests, inspections for bearing play in the bottom end, and a close look at transmission health will quickly separate well-cared-for examples from the ones that have been driven to the edge. The Camaro benefits from a strong aftermarket and a large community. Replacement parts, rebuild kits, and how-to manuals are widely available, which keeps restoration and repairs within reach. If you want a muscle car that keeps giving character without sacrificing decades of potential use, the Z28 is a solid bet, provided you choose an example with preventive maintenance and avoid cars with an undocumented history of drag or track use. 3. Volvo 240, 1985-1993. The Volvo 240 is the archetype of built to last. Plain styling, honest interiors, and an uncompromising focus on safety and longevity. Its body was engineered to withstand impacts, and its mechanicals were kept intentionally simple so that ordinary mechanics could service them anywhere. That straightforwardness is the core reason you still find 240s logging eye-opening mileages. A minimum of electronics, durable parts, and designs that favor repairability over planned obsolescence. Rust is the 240's single greatest threat. In regions with salted roads or very humid climates, the body and key mounting points deteriorate over time. Floor pans, rocker panels, seam welds, and suspension mounting areas are the usual suspects. Before buying, perform a meticulous inspection of the underbody and structural seams. Treating and preventing corrosion is not a luxury. It's the decisive factor between a manageable restoration and a bill that eclipses the car's value. Beyond that caveat, repairs are generally straightforward and affordable, and an extensive aftermarket and parts network, OEM and repro, makes keeping these cars on the road easy. There's also a human side to the Volvo 240 story. Owners tend to know their cars intimately. Local shops, veteran mechanics, and active online communities preserve the knowledge needed to keep these cars healthy. If you're willing to invest in rust protection and routine checks of suspension and brakes, the 240 becomes an immensely practical companion. Safe, predictable, and surprisingly tough for its size. For drivers who prize clarity, robustness, and a car that's easy to fix, the Volvo 240 remains hard to beat. 2. Acura Integra o Tambien. Honda Integra GSR 1994-2001. The Integra GSR is a masterclass in how to build a fun car that also lasts. The B-Series B18 engine was engineered with high revving performance in mind, yet its components and tolerances were conservative enough to tolerate very high mileages when the car receives proper care. Paired with a well-designed manual gearbox, the whole powertrain rewards sensible driving. In the hands of a prudent owner, the transmission rarely needs an early rebuild, and the engine keeps delivering precise throttle response and a lively character for many years. Where the risk really appears is when enthusiasm for more power outpaces technical care. Heavily modified Integras without proper supporting upgrades accelerate wear across the drivetrain. Worn clutches, stressed gearbox synchromesh, and engines pushed beyond safe lubrication or cooling limits. That's why a practical buying rule is simple. Favor examples with a clear maintenance history, and if a car is modified, insist on complete documentation of what was done and why. Thoughtful upgrades, upgraded oiling, stronger clutch kits, improved cooling, and proper engine management can extend life and performance. Slapdash mods tend to shorten it. Also consider usage pattern. An Integra that has been a well-maintained daily is usually more reliable than a showpiece built for the track. The market supports the model well. Plentiful parts, aftermarket support, and active communities make everything from a routine repair to a full restoration straightforward. If you want a compact that delivers steering precision, a connected driving feel, and genuine longevity, the Integra GSR is hard to beat. Emotionally satisfying to drive and, when respected mechanically, technically resilient. Before we reveal number one, take note. This is what dealerships won't always tell you. No fluff, no softening. The raw reality of cars that became legends and cars that turned into headaches. If you want more unfiltered content like this, give it a like, subscribe, and share so more people know which cars are worth keeping and which to avoid at all costs. 1. Toyota Hilux, 1985-1995, the undisputed one. Putting the Hilux at number one isn't nostalgia. It's recognition earned by decades of real-world proof. These Hiluxes were conceived as tools, not fashion statements. Simple, robust engines, strong transmissions, ladder frames built for constant load, and a mechanical architecture that favors quick, inexpensive repairs over complexity. That combination explains why you can find many examples with 500,000 kilometers, or far more, still working on farms, on remote supply runs, and in climates that punish lesser vehicles. Around the world, when reliability is the absolute priority, people reach for a Hilux. What cements the Hilux's greatness is its ecosystem. Parts are available in tiny towns. Local mechanics know how to keep them running, and a culture of preventive care is common in regions where these trucks do real work. The practical takeaways are simple. Keep the oil and filters fresh, monitor seals and suspension, and fix small issues before they grow. When owners follow that routine, the Hilux tends to come back from problems more often than more modern, more complex vehicles. Of course, vet any purchase. Inspect for underbody rust, check suspension components if the truck has seen heavy work, and confirm the usage history. If the records line up, you're looking at a vehicle with a real chance of outlasting you. The Hilux doesn't chase being cutting edge. It aims to be the most dependable machine in the yard. In an era when long-term reliability is sometimes traded for novelty, that humility is an investment you can feel and count on. Now that you know about these 15 indestructible cars, I'd like to know, have you ever had any experience with any of them? Or if you had to choose just one, which would it be? We'd love to hear your opinion, as your comments could help many others. But there's something that can help us all. Watch the video I'm sharing on the screen, because it could save us a lot of money, time, and headaches in the future. But before you do, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, because otherwise we might not see each other again.